Tyson, I'm going to read back to you a court order document that you sent me because even when I was reading point 1, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Tyson is a 12-year-old boy with a history of abuse, loss and trauma. Tyson was brought into care at age 1 as a result of suffering a severe physical injury that required hospitalisation and surgery to his liver and bowel. Tyson sustained severe internal injuries, including I don't even know how to say this word.
Laceration?
A bowel so severe it required the removal of part of the bowel, 6 fractured ribs, 2 blood transfusions, surgery, and needing to be resuscitated twice. Tyson was placed in the care of his maternal grandmother along with his older sibling Raymond. Tyson.
It's just hard to take in. I sort of forgot about it, I got to an age where it was just, I got to, put it aside because the more I felt, if I kept thinking about it and all that kind of stuff, it was just play with my mind, play, it was, the stuff that it would do and just make me do as well, like the actions, like it's trauma, it's a serious thing. And, it's, I don't know how to put it. It's, in a way, it's...
Does it sound like your story?
Because I'm so young at that time, I actually didn't really... at that time, I didn't even know until I got to a certain age. Because my auntie and uncle that ended up adopting me later on, they wouldn't give me these court papers, and they told me, you'll end up finding out one day. Even my nan and grandma, they wouldn't tell me the truth. They just said, you'd have to ask your mum. And that's all I would, ever get out of them. And, I thought they were just hiding stuff for many years. I was just thought, what's happened? What's actually, why I asked my mum, sort of thing. And I'm thinking, but as time grew on, got older and then finally got my hands on those court papers and then I actually read through it and I'm like, man, what the...
So was it your biological parents who did that to you?
Yeah. I was in the care at the time with my biological mum and her partner. So he wasn't, So at that time when that happened, so my biological dad wasn't, I didn't really get to know him until the age of 14, around 14, 15. And but my biological mum now, we don't even, it's like, we're sort of strangers, still to this day, sort of don't really know each other one-on-one sort of thing. And it's a bit of a, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just,
Well, you've got 3 beautiful children now.
Yeah.
I mean, to be that hurt as a 1-year-old, could you imagine that?
I say that to myself all the time. Like even when my kids were just, when they're 1 or 2, they're only the size of your arm. The size of your arm. And just to think of what I had, like what happened to me, and then, this surgery and all this stuff, fractured ribs, lacerations to the, and it wasn't no sexual abuse or anything to do with that. It was actually, even in the court papers, it says that from the main doctors at Westmead Hospital, they pretty much said it was a forcefully kicked or bashed. And I went in there as well, even on one of the pages, it's, I had bruises under my eyes and, just to think about it, it's makes me angry. Makes me angry when, thinking about it, but it's just, I wouldn't be here today, to be honest. Like, just strong-minded. You got to be strong-minded through some of these battles that everyone goes through. You just can't let it, get to you.
I read those documents on the plane on the way here this morning.
Yeah.
And I started crying.
Yeah.
I did. To think of your beautiful self as a tiny 1-year-old being kicked, thrown around, who I don't even think we would ever know the full extent, or I'm getting shivers.
The funny thing now, sorry, I'll just cut you off here, is the funny thing is as well, through the whole courts, with that whole process, and no one actually got punished. And that's what makes me more just sick. How's the system doing this to people? especially with kids that, it's just how can someone walk away free with no answers, no what's happened, no. And they had that many excuses, my mum and her partner at the time. There was this, man, they said, there was one excuse that was absolutely stupid, like they owned a cow or something, and just lies after lies. They had a Rottweiler, and trying to blame my older brother as well. Oh, he was a 3-4-year-old that used to, be so play fit. How can a 4-3-year-old do that to a one?
And they almost killed you.
Yeah,
like,
well,
it's
that's
black
what
and
I mean.
white.
And
you had to be resuscitated twice.
That's what I mean. No, that's what they said. And it's the whole statement from the hospital and everything. They said it was brutally, someone's, forcefully punched, kicked, done something that's not, it's not, it's sus.
Well, I'm so sorry, and we
Yeah.
will move on. Ugh. From that point in time, you get put under the care of, was it your maternal grandmother?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. How old was your brother and you? So you were 1 and 4?
He was 3 years older than me. So yeah, I would have been 1 going to 2. He would have been what? Sorry, I'm pretty crap at maths. Quick maths me here if you can.
That's okay. You were both young kids.
We've gone to their care, my nan and grandma's care, and we were there for at least 2 years together there, at least. And I just remember the day when it's just hell broke loose. Like Docs and them came inside the house, the police, and they actually came in, and I was asleep. Me and my brother were asleep in our grandma's bed, and we were just dead asleep. And then I remember just waking up to my brother just screaming and crying, grabbing me, and I was, "What are you doing?" Woke up, and I had no idea what's going on. These people there in suits and showing their little, their badge cards there, and explaining who they were. I didn't really know what was going on, but I'm like, what? Like, they was trying to say he's got to go. My brother's got to go. So everyone goes through a stage of, that's probably where my heart, everyone broken heart. That's probably where my first heart was, broken in my life.
So separating you and your brother.
Yeah, because we had a bond. Like, I even remember visions and just our memories that we had together through that time there. And then, we were building a bond, and to come and break it like that after what it says in the court papers, the statements, everything, how can... I understand, I sort of understand it, but then I don't. How can you come and take him and put him back into the care of what happened to me? And, and he's actually gone on to, after that, when he got to his teens, he ended up fighting with that partner, my mum's at the time. So I think he was around 12 or 13, and he ended up kicking him out of house, and he was living on top of a food shop where he used to work at, my brother, for many years. So, and he became sort of an addict himself as well. He started going towards marijuana and alcohol, drinking young age, and even to now too, our bond is a bit off.
But
and
I
it
can
shouldn't.
understand
And that's
it.
what I mean. And I feel bad in ways. And then I'm just like, I try to tell him too. I'm just like, man, you got to stop. Feeling sorry for yourself too. It can affect your life so bad. And if you just keep, that's how I sort of, I understand he's gone through stuff too. I've gone through stuff. Everyone's gone through stuff. But if you feel sorry for yourself and just sit there and not try to work out a plan and to proceed forward to get something good going for yourself, it ends up just rotting you, and that's sort of, what my brother's sort of in at the moment. He's just confused and just, it's just, our bond's a bit different,
Okay, so you were separated that fateful evening that night by the police. Morning, and you stay with your grandmother.
Yeah, I stayed there, and we were located Lilyfield at that time, so that's not too far from here, the city. We were there in Housing Commission, and I wasn't, after that, I think it took a lot of toll on myself too. I think, just all that stuff that happened, I think I became just a pretty bad little kid. I started just disobeying, no discipline, no nothing. It was just, I was pretty bad, even my family know, they would even tell me today, you've come so far, from back then, what you used to do, how I used to speak to people, and just, that's what, trauma and just, PTSD, all that stuff, that's what happens to a lot of kids, a lot of kids coming, but yeah, we ended up moving from there from Lilyfield to Newtown. We were in Newtown for at least a year, I think a year or two, yep. And I just got worse, and I started hanging out with kids in that unit block at Newtown that were older than me, and they were getting me to do stupid stuff and
Like what?
breaking in the cars and smashing windows and just all that sort of stuff. And like I'll get away with it, and then it was just till got the door knocks, and then it was the police at the door, and then like I didn't understand. You're a young kid, you don't know, you don't really know right and wrong at the that. But when you're going through stuff, it makes you do some stupid shit. But yeah, the police would come, and then they would hand notes to someone that like the fines and all this crap, and just come in and try to give you a lecture and all that sort of thing. But that was also taking a toll on the actual docs and care and all that sort of thing at the same time too, because she had to report that to them and just how my behaviour's going and all that sort of stuff. And then it was coming to a point where it was like my nan pretty much had the fight for me as well. They sort of wanted to take me to put me into a boys' home, and I didn't know that. I didn't know nothing about that, but I just kept doing what I had to do, and not what I had to do, but it was just how the person I was then, the kid I was. It was a battle. It was a battle, and
then you eventually found her deceased.
Yeah, so after that we ended up moving from Newtown because I just kept getting in too much shit there, and then moved to the Shire, and we're in the Shire, and I remember this day, it's still carried to me every day. It's like a burden. We actually were having an argument. I had the biggest tantrum, and I was chucking a fit. She wouldn't let me go with a neighbour up to the park, and I remember just chucking the biggest fit and swearing at her, carrying on. Man, I'm only 7 or 8 at the time, and I was chucking the biggest fit, and I ended up running off, taking off anyway. Didn't listen, took off, and that time I come back. I don't know how long I was gone, but I come back, and just to find her on the floor, and when she was on that floor, what can you do? Well, I didn't even know I don't know what was going on. I'm fortunately playing around sort of thing. I didn't know at that time what, she's just laying there on the floor and just, not responsive, bit cold, and so.
Does it make you emotional talking about this?
Just thinking, sort of, and thinking about it, but it's just, you got to face it. You got to.
But you were young.
No, I know.
Like you were 7.
I know, and that's
scary.
I know it's scary, and it's just you shouldn't see stuff. I know you should not see that stuff, but that's sort of why I'm here today as well. It's just I know a lot of people go through a lot of stuff, and you're out there giving this support too. Like you're talking about addictions and all this stuff, and that's the way some kids that go through this stuff end up going towards that addiction and becoming alcoholics, getting on the drugs, and a lot of people hide behind it. I was one of them. I used to hide behind it eventually that's when that started going that way, and that was around age 13, 14. And
can I ask about your grandmother? Were you conscious of the fact that this is probably your last remaining lifeline to staying within the family? She came in and saved you, and now she's dead.
Yeah, well, that was, at the time I had no idea. So when the ambulance were all there and all that, and that was when I was like, where am I going? I'm like, where am I going? And then I just remember the ambulance were telling me to stay there. We'll get in contact with someone. I don't know how long I was there for, but my auntie and uncle that ended up adopting me, my cousin, their son's partner, ended up coming to pick me up and taking me to their house, my auntie and uncle's house. And my auntie and uncle ended up going to the hospital and staying by my nan's side at the time. It wasn't until that morning I got woken up by my uncle, and he came in and pretty much said to me, I'm going to live here. He said, I'm going look after you. And I don't know what was going on. I didn't know. He didn't tell me. Like he just, he said, don't worry, I'm gonna look after you. And
Did you feel loved, or do you feel unwanted?
That's exactly like that was the problem as a kid. Actually did feel unwanted, and that was a lot of my being selfish and me being just no discipline or nothing, because I just felt like everyone was against me. My back was against the wall. I didn't know where my parents were, what the freaks happened to me. I got this big scar here. So, I'm like, what's going on? Like, and then but that's how
You're very harsh towards yourself. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Like you're a Tyson.
I know,
We're talking about a 7-year-old boy who's been passed around the family, who's been beaten to a pulp of his life.
Yeah.
Like, you're very harsh on yourself.
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself. We don't have to sit there forever.
Yeah.
But you are allowed.
Yeah. It's just, you gotta, I don't know, it's cold-hearted. Or like,
Do you think it's a trauma response?
Yeah, that's a trauma response. It definitely is. It's just like I did go for many years, just from my from being a kid to teens. I was just cold-hearted, just selfish, no discipline. Just that's pretty much just how I felt. Just everyone, I can do what I want, and that's gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that. Yeah.
So I know you end up, and I'm jumping because I want to hear them, but
No,
I know
that's
you
it.
end up at juvie. So where did we start taking substances heavily? Or
So this is what happened. I ended up going into my auntie and uncle's care after they have adopted me, and that court thing was still going on, and docs and all that. I had to keep going to. I ended up, once I moved in with them, and I had to go to a psychiatrist appointments, counselling, even with docs and all that crap. Man, it was like a weekly, fortnightly thing, and it was just, when I think about it, it would have been draining, draining for my auntie and uncle. Like, and I appreciate them so much. Like, when I think about it now, because I understand everything now, you know what I mean? So it's like, man, how much money were they wasting? They were independent. They weren't, they were independent, so they probably would have had to be paying for a lot of my stuff that, because, But when all that, like, moved in with them, and it was more of a, I just started, like, I would go good for a bit, and then I would just spiral out, and then it would be, I'd be fighting at school and getting suspended, and it was just a roller coaster. I'd go good for a bit, back down, good, back down, and it was just, and then I ended up running away from home, and I don't even know why, but why I did, you know what I mean? It was just the people I was around at that time, and and who I was hanging around, we started smoking marijuana, and that was the first thing. That was the first bit of, like, substance I ever had, and then turned in from that to alcohol, and then it was just a alcohol, marijuana sort of thing, and it wasn't every day. It was just like every, once or twice a week or whatever, just, after school, doing stupid shit, and then that ended up, I ended up finding, like, myself with another group of people that were similar as like me as well. They went through docs sort of thing, and they were just hanging out on the street, and became close with a lot of them, and I'm still friends with a lot of them today. I still speak to a lot of them today that gone through the same thing, broken homes, and just, same trauma stuff at home, and it's very common in, like, within the Polynesian community as well. So that's who I was always around, is Polynesian kids, and the same as myself. So, but when you put a lot of people like that into one circle, it just, you know how it ends. You know, hey, it's not going to be good. And we just ended up jumping on everything, pretty much. Not everything, but just caps. It was marijuana, alcohol, and then cocaine came later on in a, when you're around 18, not 19. But around 14. When I got to 14, that's when I ended up. That's when the habit got even, started getting really worse, because we were going out late at night, and we were breaking into cars and all this sort of stuff, and robbing just random civilians on the side of the road and taking their
how do you
bags.
rob? I've heard this from Spanian. How do you rob a random person?
Well, we used to call it back then. I don't know what it's called now, but we used to call it pop and roll, PNR.
So what's that, pop and roll?
Pop and roll, yeah, like our little group there. That's what we used to call it, and then we'll go out, do a PNR, and then it was this you know, when I think about it now, it's just, I feel bad. You know,
Of
I feel
course.
bad, you know,
But so if someone's walking past, what do you say? Like, give me
no,
a...
like we'll just run up on them and just, if they got a hanging bag there or something, we'll just
Oh,
grab them and
okay.
if they're trying to fight for their bag, then you just, you know, you'd throw a couple hits and not needed, but, you know, it's not needed at all. And I don't, you know, I don't praise it. But that's what we used to do just to get by. And it was a bad thing to, you know, do it, like to be that way and do
Yeah.
those things just to get your bloody drug habit, you know. And it's like, wow.
Can I ask you, just from a civilian's point of view, do you target people who aren't aware of their surroundings? Sorry, did you?
It was more, it was pretty much like that, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, we'd just wait for him at some certain spot, even if there was sort of where there was no light near the cameras,
no
so
light,
just
yeah.
away from that sort of thing. And, and then just,
Okay.
when you hear him screaming and stuff like that, that's the worst. Like, when I think about it now, it's just, God, it makes me
I mean, you
feel
did
bad.
time eventually.
Yeah,
so,
and then it
yeah.
was eventually like that, and then it was just getting done for stolen cars and all this sort of shit, and it was just, it was, wasn't a life. It was not a life to live. It's,
But I can understand. It almost sounds like you've found, in a very weird way, you've finally found your community and people who probably didn't look at you like, oh, poor Tyson. It's like everyone else was broken.
That was the thing too. A lot of us actually, like, in my group, then we kept a lot of we were just always quiet. Like, the main crap that happened at home or whatever inside your house behind closed doors, we always kept it silent. And I think that's where a lot of people, you end up creating more problems than what it is, because you're holding it in so much for so long and you're not actually opening up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you become an angry person. Do stuff that you shouldn't do. And that's pretty much what happened. Like, and it's just, I don't know, it's just.
So when did the law catch up with you?
That was 14. It was in between 14 to 16. I was just doing little stints here and there, and that was when the first ever time was when we were at this. So we had our group, and we were out near Panania Ways, and there was this house that everyone knew. I can't say his name anyway, but we used to go to this one house, and we all used to just go there. And his mum, was actually like, she was mad good, like, you know what I mean? She cared for all of us, but she would feed us and bring us in and give us shelter, sort of thing. But she knew we were doing the wrong thing, like. But so it was sort of like, she was egging it on, sort of thing too. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, she could have done the right thing to say, hey, go home, go home, you little shits, But it wasn't like that. So we ended up at this place, and that's where the whole habit kicked in more and more, and we were just like planning. Once we'd hit 12 or 1 in the morning, we'd just go straight out, start breaking into cars and all this sort of stuff like that. And then I remember this one night I ended up finding a car, and it had spare car keys in the glove box. Yeah, I was like, I knew about it, but I didn't know how to drive manual.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
So that's the thing.
The
I
worst
didn't know.
robber
Yeah,
ever.
so I'm only 14 at the time, and then I knew about the keys, and I told my mates, I said, well, if this car's still here, we'll come back tomorrow. So we went back to our mate's house, and then we planned it for the next day, and then next night, and then went back there, and then it was still there. The keys were still in there, so we grabbed it, and then they my mate started just running away, because I put my hand up. I just said, yeah, I'll get it. I'll get the car. I know how to drive. I didn't know how to drive. Lied. What? And then I've turned the key on and whatnot, and some reason it's, I've put the handbrake off, and it's just revving, and I'm
You
like,
just don't know how to drive it.
Yeah, no, like, and it drove for a bit, because I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm trying to move these gear sticks, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? One, two, three, how this, and then I'm just put it in from neutral to one or whatever, and it started going, and then it just shaking, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm yelling out to my mates. I'm like, get back here, sort of thing. And then lucky one of my mates come down, and he knew how to drive it and whatnot, and got us out of there. And then the figure was that 2 days after, we ended up catching a highway pursuit through Rangiheuea and Riverwood, and we ended up getting done there. So
they pursued you on a car, like a car chase.
Yeah, it was a car chase, and it was through Riverwood and Rangiheuea, and it's that's where they got us at Riverwood. So
And did they get you for all of your crimes, or just that one mainly?
Just that one only, because I had this tattoo. I had this tattoo from, I think it was 12 or 13. So they seen that, yeah, and they see me on the camera and all that, and I was, well, idiot, absolute idiot, But
So you go to juvie.
yeah, I went to juvie, and then I did 6 months for that one. 2 other of my mates, they ended up getting done as well for that one, and yeah.
Well, there was something else that happened to you whilst you were 15.
Yeah, actually, it was funny. I actually got out of juvenile the last little stint I actually did, and I had a message, I forgot what it was. When someone sends you a message, but you're not a friend, and it pops.
A friend request?
I think it is, and you click on it. Yeah, I clicked on it, but it had one there, so I clicked on it, and it was from. We weren't together at that time. Like, we weren't together or anything, but she sends me a message, and she's like, "Oh, I'm 6 months pregnant or something," and I was like, "What the hell?" What the fuck?
So you're 15, you've been in juvie, you're about to go in juvie, and you've just found out you've had sex with someone 6 months ago.
Yeah, and then it was, it was a bit of a confusion there because, it was, you're just being away, living, doing stupid shit, and you get out to a message like that, and it's like, wow, it either changes you or it doesn't, but without, that from that moment when he actually arrived, and, I stood up for what's right, and I'm thankful and grateful I did, because, if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest with you. Not having my own parents, my biological parents in my life and all that stuff, that sort of I feel like that actually, it painted the picture. It probably did good for me. Like, even though it was a bad storyline from this, I've started
saved
this. It's probably saved me, because I didn't want my son to have no dad, no mum or whatnot, and in the picture, and I
noticed that was important for you, because when we were outside at the cafe, you said something along the lines of, and I don't even know if you said it, like if you recognise that you said it, but you said it was really important that he stayed in my care.
Yeah,
like, it's a big thing for you.
Yeah, no, so it was a bit of that relationship that we ended up having, me and his mum. We're civil now, but back then it was just two immature kids, 15-year-olds. It was a bit of a back and forth. She loved to just get under my skin, and just the blame game as well. It was toxic. It was a toxic relationship, and it come to a point where I was just sticking by just for my son. It was like I did not want to leave or break up and whatnot because of my son, and it was like, like I lost love over her as well, and it was just just my son.
You were just staying together because you felt like you had to stay together.
If I left, I'm a coward. That's how I felt. I felt, if I left, I'm a coward. And I actually ended up, came to the drawing board, and I'm like, you know what, this shit is just getting worse and worse. This is not good for my own health too, and I'm here trying to do the right thing. At this time, I was speaking to my older brother as well, and he was telling me, you've been going through this crap for years, and, it's not good, and, come up here, come stay up here. And, I was like, I would always tell him, no, like, give me a bit. Oh yeah, I'll come up. But really, I wouldn't come up. And then there was this one day, I was just like, I've got to take this. And, I didn't want to leave my actual son at that time. Like, I just said to her, I said, look, you're just, you're creating this issue and sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. And, and she was just like, she said she had to go somewhere. She had to go over to New Zealand to see one of her family members or something. And, yeah, she ended up going over there, and she said she would only go for a week or something. So I had to postpone going up to Queensland. So I was like, I'll just stick it out here for a week. And she ended up staying in NZ for like 3 months or 2 months or something like that.
So who had baby?
I ended up having him. This is when I had him by myself. So I'm like, you know what? I might as well just, I can't go now because she's not here. I'm not going to leave my son with the parents. But I had nowhere really. I could have went back to my auntie and uncle, but all those times when I was in and out of juvenile and all that, I felt like I let them down, and I couldn't go back there.
Yeah,
that's how I felt. I let them down. They always gave me, chances, and I always guilty. I felt guilty, so I never really. I tried to just avoid him, sort of thing. Still kept in contact here and there, but like over the phone and whatnot, but not like yeah. I should have, but you know, I couldn't go there. Like that's how I felt. I just couldn't go there. So I just stuck it out for a bit more. Then I got in contact with my my other auntie, and then you know, and she said to come there, and I actually went there, and I probably a week or two after, I ended up getting a message, and it was from a different number, and it was my son's mum at the time, and she was just like, oh, you know, I want baby, and blah, blah, I want to see baby, I'm back, sort of thing, and I was like, what the fuck? So, you know, went back there, and then she did these ones. It was like, you can fuck off sort of thing now. And I was like, what the fuck? She's like, you can't do nothing sort of thing. And she started laying all these laws out and stuff. She's like, he's in my care now, I got him sort of thing. And it was just like, what the I didn't know what the hell was going on. And she's actually come back with a new partner from New Zealand.
Okay, so it makes more sense.
Yeah, and then I had no idea what and then that's when this hell broke loose, and didn't see my son for about couple years, 4 years, something.
Really?
Like. Yeah, because she would just, every time I tried and whatnot, she would just be like, oh, yeah, I want money.
Okay.
I want money. I want this. I want that. It was just more of a blackmailing sort of thing. It was just like a, sort of thing like that. And if I said no to it, then she would just block me.
Tyson, what worries me about this point in the story is because you've said that your son saved you and now he's been taken away. I could imagine that you would have spiraled.
Yeah, I spiraled again. That's when I actually spiraled again. And I've gone up to my brothers, tried to make ends meet, and just became more on the bloody alcohol. It's
Really?
the alcohol. There was
Mm-hmm.
alcohol, and we were getting this shit up there in Queensland because he was staying in the bush. It was called like homebrew sort of thing. And so this guy was making his shit for like $10. I don't know what he was making of making a
You
farm.
didn't care?
I didn't care. So we would just my brother's like, yeah, try this, and yeah, it would whack you. You know, it'd smash it, and living off that for a good couple months. And this is funny. This is when I started talking to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to my partner, and at that time as well, and she was telling me to come back down and, you know, come down here and make, you know, we'll work something out, let's get to know each other sort of thing, and blah, blah, blah. Eventually, before I come down, I ended up causing some trouble up in Queensland where my brother was from. He's probably going to watch this and laugh, but we got intoxicated, and then I started a big, massive, it was a pretty big fight at this house party up where he was from, and windows were getting smashed and all sorts of shit. It was because where he was staying, he was in like a little country sort of town, so there was only, I think it was only about 100 people, 200 people there, and everybody knew everyone. So I've just gone in there, started drama, started fighting with all these people, and everyone knew who my brother was and where he stayed, and he had to pay all these damages and costs on the house. And
what, you just
yeah, and then he was like, no, he sort of pretty much gave the ultimatum. He's like, you gotta fucking go. He's like, you know, and I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, bro, like shit, you know. And he ended up paying the actual costs of damages at the house and whatnot. And yeah, and then I was speak to my partner, and come back to Sydney and made it work. So.
And when did you pull your head in? Was it with her?
Yeah, it was pretty much with
Really?
her. It was like once I got with her, it was a wake up call, I guess, because she's actually an NDIS youth worker herself, and it's so I know it's how the world works. It's like how she can put up with my No,
I think
she
that
knew
makes sense.
she understood me sort of thing at the time, and it was just like, what the fuck, the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like, but she was like, she would always, you know, keep me in my happy spot, I guess, and just try her best. And she knew I'd zone out and just be like, I'd be looking in the fin now, just, you know, it's just, but yeah,
So did you stop your like substance abuse once you came down with her?
Yeah, no, sorry, we weren't actually seeing each other this time when we first come down. It was just like a little date sort of thing at that time. And then I've gone back to my old mates sort of thing, and just that's when that started jumping back on shit again. And it was just mainly marijuana, caps, and that's when I've met cocaine. And then it was just like, what the fuck? You know, like,
Yeah.
when you first try cocaine and
Yeah.
it's like,
I've always said I reckon I would have been addicted to cocaine if I could afford it.
yeah, well, that's it. Exactly. It's so pricey. It's just, yeah. But, yeah, that's sort of thing. I tried the cocaine then and I didn't come hooked. Like, it was just more of a, you know what, I feel good on this shit. And it
Yeah.
was just like, you
It
know,
sounds very sorry to butt in, but with all of these stories about you doing drugs and substance abuse, it sounds very environmental.
yeah.
Like if you were with people who were doing
Yeah,
it,
and it
you were
was like
doing it.
and
Yeah.
it wasn't like, you know, that's what I mean too. Like, you end up in a group and you either end up being the sheep, you know, or you actually do become addicted to it. And it's like you know, and it's a yeah, it's a bad spot. It's a bad place to be in.
And were your biological parents addicts?
Well, so my biological dad, he was actually, so he's Samoan. He's like, he loves the alcohol. You know,
Yeah.
typical Polynesians. You
Typical
know, we all.
Polynesian dad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the only things I really heard about him, like, he was pretty hothead as well when he was on the alcohol and just marijuana. That's all I heard he used to pretty much do back in his days or whatever. But yeah, I heard he was a bit of a hothead. But my mum, my biological mum, I'm not not really too sure about
Okay.
her. So yeah, it's yeah, our bond was just, even till now, we're like strangers sort of thing. So
Well, you go on to have two beautiful children with your current partner, who was in this,
Yeah.
who was in the story.
yeah, we've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So yeah.
And you're
It's-
29.
Yeah, I know, I'm 29, so I've got 3 kids all up. So yeah, my eldest is turning 13 next month. So it's
Oh my goodness. Tyson, I have a really big question for you. How do you parent without having parents yourself? And you've never had
man,
parents.
I think that's what I'm actually grateful I had to go through the shit I had to go through, because my parenting wouldn't, you know, the way I am parenting and stuff, like, I don't think, you know, I'm not gonna be cocky and say I'm not the best dad or best, you know what I mean? But I know I'm up there standards, you know. I'm like even my kids, when I'm with my kids, like even in public and just even if we go to parties for, like, you know, their cousins or, you know, and stuff like that, and just like my eyes are just like, because I don't want them to
Yeah.
get hurting, you know. When I hear them crying and stuff like that, it gives me anxiety. I'm just like, you know, just get, what the fuck happened, you know?
Yeah,
what's
you're
going
a
on?
good
What's going, you know,
dad.
like, yeah. So I feel like that actually, you know, it made me probably, yeah, better in that way, sort of thing, you know. But yeah, I love my kids. I think that's what it's that they're my remedy, I think, which, you know, it's saved me and just, yeah, kept me here, you know, I guess. So
Tyson, this will be my final question.
yeah.
Why do you feel like it's important that a beautiful Polynesian man like yourself speaks up about this, about the childhood trauma and the abuse that you suffered?
Well, honestly, it's, you know, my son's coming to an age 13, and the kids nowadays, you see them on the street, you see them on the news. It's you know, and a lot. What I hate about it the most is when there's a lot of these kids that got great parents. You know, I don't understand it. Why are they out on the street doing this stuff? Why are they becoming addicted? Why are they turning to drugs? Why are they turning to crime? But, you know, there's so much life that, you know, they haven't lived yet. You know, they haven't lived. Like, you can't go out that way. You can't. It's not a way to live life, especially with the Polynesian community. You can't, like, there's a lot of them. You know, there's a lot of
And no one speaks up.
and no one speaks up about it. Just imagine, you know, there's a lot of these kids that are 14, 15, 16 and going out killing each other and stuff like that. You know, and it's, we don't know if they're on drugs or if they're sober, but, you know, it's just an act. You got to stop. You got to, you know, you got parents at home that care for you, or, you know, you got someone there, you know, you got to speak up. You know, you can't hold your stuff in so much, man. You got to, you know, the more you hold it in, whatever you're angry about and, you know, or going through trauma, all that, you got to speak up eventually. You can't just keep it eating at you and being a sheep as well. It doesn't benefit anyone. You know, you're just hurting your family more and more, and the ones that actually care for you. And I know a lot of kids have gone through the same sort of thing with me. You know, the docs and all the boys' homes, sort of all that stuff, all that sort of stuff, and I know what they go through. It's a dark hole. It's a dark hole when you've been down that path in life and got to deal with all these, appointments and docs and all these people knocking at your door, and just, they're trying to do a good thing and a bad, at some, some work out for some people and some don't, but at the end of the day, you just got to listen and learn, and it comes down to discipline, really. You just got to hold in and speak up, I guess. It makes you stronger, makes you a stronger person.
Well, Tyson, you are a great dad.
Yeah,
and
thank
you are very wanted and very loved.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
it.
if you have been told that lately.
Yeah, and thank
I'm
you.
so grateful to have you on Soberly Speaking.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.